Today, let's step into the very heart of the Bible to explore what is, well, maybe its most misunderstood, and for sure, its most mysterious book, the Song of Songs.
You know, when you first read it, the reaction is pretty much always the same. It's a kind of quiet shock, right? And it's followed by a question. What in the world is a book like this doing in Holy Scripture?
Because what it doesn't have is just as stunning as what it does. I mean, think about it. There is no prayer, not a single mention of salvation. There is no law and no temple. And maybe the most startling thing of all, God is not named, not even once. Now, this isn't some kind of accident. It's a signpost, and it's inviting us to look a little deeper.
The title itself tells us something really profound. Song of Songs. That isn't just one song out of many. In Hebrew, when you repeat a word, you're signifying the ultimate. The King of Kings, that's the highest king. The Holy of Holies is the most sacred place. So the Song of Songs, well, that means it's the greatest, the absolute supreme song. But what makes it so?
For centuries, a lot of people were so uncomfortable with the book's earthly, passionate language that they tried to turn it into some kind of secret code, an allegory. But the book isn't a secret that you have to decode. It's a reality we're meant to embrace. It's an affirmation.
So let's just look at these two ways of reading it. The allegorical view. It sees a secret code that kind of hides the meaning, turning physical things into abstract ideas. But the worldview of the Bible itself, well, that's one of affirmation. It doesn't split reality into spiritual versus physical. No, it sees the physical world, our bodies, desire, attraction, as good things, created by a good God. It's not a concession to our weakness. It's a divine gift.
And so the Song of Songs stands right there, at the very heart of the Bible, and it declares a profound principle. Do not call unclean what God Himself has made clean.
But it's more than just an affirmation of the physical world. It's also an analogy. And this is a really key difference. See, where an allegory hides meaning behind a code, an analogy reveals truth through a real-world parallel. And the reality it uses is human love. It's the doorway through which Scripture teaches us about a divine love.
So if we're really going to understand this book, we first have to get what it's not. It is not a manual.
And it is not a code.
It is a love letter. And love letters, well, they aren't written to inform the mind, are they? They're written to move the heart. They speak the language of longing and desire. And that is exactly how Scripture wants to be read, not just as a set of instructions, but as God's pursuit of the human heart.
And in this love letter, we find this just breathtaking line. My beloved is mine, and I am his. This is not just pretty poetry. This is what faith is actually meant to sound like. It's a description of a relationship, a bond of mutual belonging.
Because this is the central point. Really, if you miss this, you miss everything. At the heart of the Christian faith is not ritual, but relationship. The whole thing teaches us that being a Christian is not primarily about doing certain things. It is about being in love with the Lord.
But this relationship of love, it teaches us a second, more sobering lesson. It's a love that both draws us close for comfort and then calls us higher to a new kind of life. This is the difference between seeing God as a shepherd and seeing Him as a king.
Most of us, we first fall in love with Jesus as our shepherd. It's a personal, private, comforting relationship. He walks with us in the valley, and it feels safe. But sooner or later, we realize that the shepherd is also a king, and that changes everything. The relationship, it becomes public, royal, visible. We're not just cared for, we are crowned as His bride. And that brings responsibility. Kings do not hide their brides.
And this is why this book is so central. This love story is the story of the entire Bible. Scripture begins with a wedding in a garden, and it ends with a wedding in a celestial city. The grand narrative of everything is a romance.
When Jesus arrives, He doesn't present Himself as a teacher first or a reformer. He says something far more intimate. When He's asked why His disciples don't fast, He says, "Can the wedding guests mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them?" He is the bridegroom. He has come looking for a bride.
And here is the most astonishing part of this entire story. The bride that He has come for is you.
Just think of Peter. After his greatest failure, after denying Jesus 3 times, Jesus finds him. And He doesn't ask about his doctrine or his discipline. He asks one question, 3 times, to heal that threefold betrayal. Do you love me? This tells us everything about what matters most.
And this is the question that echoes through all of Scripture and right into our own lives. Ultimately, the Lord doesn't ask how many chapters we've read or how many times we've been to church. He asks one simple, profound question: do you love me?
And this brings us to the very end. The final page of the Bible doesn't end with a law or a threat. It ends with an invitation, a cry of longing. The Spirit and the bride say, "Come." The love story that began in a garden finds its glorious conclusion right here.
And that is why the Song of Songs is in the Bible. It is there to remind us of the greatest truth of all, that true wisdom isn't ultimately found in knowing how to live, but in knowing whom you love.